Good morning, True Church. I don't know if you've met our dogs before, but this is Chestnut. Hey, buddy. Say hi. This is Hazelnut, and they are goofballs. Chestnut and Hazel, we call them. They have get into everything, and we've had them for years and years, and they are lovers, and they they've just loved our kids all the way through. But they get into so many things. The first day we ever moved back to California, the very first thing they did, they got out of the moving truck and they found skunks. Do you guys remember that? I do. And you guys can get down. Okay, good job, good job. And they got sprayed so bad, and then they're running all over the place. So I had to just grab them and hold them. So that and then Jenny and the kids got all the things together, all the different types of combination of things to actually cut the smell, because that smell just sticks with you like crazy. You can't get rid of it. You've got to be washed specifically for that. And then so he's there and he's washing, and it's just like, oh. And finally, after I was just gross, and I got them into that tub that we did, and we washed them and finally cleaned them up, and they didn't stink anymore. But it took a while. That's a memory of washing for me. I don't know if you have memories of washing, but there's a story in the Bible that is in Jesus' last week of his life. This is actually the night before he was to die. And it says some powerful words about washing and about humility of God, and actually I think God's intent on loving us right where we are. Let's look at the text. John chapter 13 begins this way. It says, "It was just before the Passover feast. Jesus knew that the time had come for him to leave the world and to go to the Father, and having loved his own who were in the world, he now showed them the full extent, or his love to the end. The evening meal was being served, and the devil had already prompted Judas Iscariot, son of Simon, to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had put all these things under his power, that he had come from God and was returning to God. So Jesus got up, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, 'Lord, are you going to wash my feet?' Jesus replied, 'You do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand.' 'No,' Peter said, 'you shall never wash my feet.' Jesus answered, 'Unless I wash you, you will have no part with me.' 'Then Lord,' Simon Peter said, 'not just my feet, but my head and my hands as well.'" I can't see Jesus saying this without laughing, but he said, "A person who has had a bath needs only to wash his feet. His whole body is clean. And you are clean, though not every one of you." For he knew who was going to betray him. And that was why he said, "Not every one of you is clean." When he had finished washing their feet, he put back on his clothes, and he returned to his place. He said, "Do you understand what I have done for you?" He said, "You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. But now that I, your teacher and Lord, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set an example for you, that you should do as I have done for you. I tell you the truth, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them." There's a reality that in this humbling movement, God descending so low in the person of Jesus as to wash the feet of his own creation is mind-blowing for me. This is one of those passages for me, just personally, that I have never been able to get my head around. It keeps descending deeper and deeper into mystery for me, honestly. I've spent so much time on this. I've never really been able to wrap my head around a cultural equivalent at this time, what it would look like for that. But beyond all the amazing examples of Jesus' humility and even his call to be humble and in the way of a servant leader, the thing that strikes out me most is this: Peter's aversion to be washed by Jesus in a vulnerable place. Some of you don't like to show your feet. You have ugly feet maybe, or you feel like you have ugly feet, or you just think that's a gross part of your body. Well, it was in the first century world, it was the grossest part. Think about walking around in sandals all the time, in streets full of dung and stuff. I mean, it's gross. Like those feet were nasty, and that's why even certain servants weren't required even to do that. Like you had to be the lowest servant to even wash another person's feet as a custom in the house, and that's something that just wasn't done very often in that context with anybody with any type of stature. And Jesus, being the person in the room that has more stature than anyone, descends and shows them the heart of the Father and the heart of what a servant leader looks like. But before all these things can happen, before he calls you or me to serve others in this radical, self-giving love, he calls you and I to receive it. I sense and feel where Peter was in that moment. He's fighting against this. If his feet, if the dirtiness of his feet could really represent maybe even the most dirty, shameful places of his life, what if your feet were the most shameful, dirtiest places of your life? The places that you are most afraid of, most ashamed of, the things that you feel like disqualify you most for any type of thing. I would encourage you to let God meet you in that and wash your feet. This is an action. I'm not going to ask you to do something this time. Actually, what I'm going to invite you to do this time is to pause and let God meet you in this. If you're with me, what I'd like you to do is this. I'd like you to, if you're able to at this moment, and just have some moments after this time, take your shoes off at this moment. And then I want you to imagine, after your shoes are off and you're sitting in a place alone, I want you to imagine the place where you feel most shame and brokenness in your life. And I want you to imagine, if you can, as you read this story again, let Jesus, the person of Jesus, meet you in that and wash you in that. I don't want you to do anything today. I want you to receive today. Receive the depths of this love. Let the one who was as present to Peter and the other disciples washing their feet at that point, Jesus is present to us today through the Holy Spirit. And he, I pray, will wash your feet in your place of greatest shame. Just let him cleanse you and know that you are washed clean. And then go and do wherever those feet take you and be like the one that loves you and who has washed you. Grace and peace, True Church. Bye for now.